So in the beginning, we get a few, like, flashback scenes, which I enjoyed because we also got, like, that little, like, we got a scene from the Vampire Diaries in which Kai first originally gets trapped. So I thought that was, like, a little cool, like, shout out, just that general whole flashback scene in the beginning. And that is when, of course, we get to see a little bit of background for now on the inciting incident of why Alaric sent, and which we find out more later, but like, was why Alaric sent some of his students to the prison world. Now this is really, I don't want to even say it, but is a little bit nitpicky, but like I was assuming like he had done it over a period of time, and not that it was just going to be 3 students all done at once. But I guess like it would have to be like a big deal and that it wouldn't be a decision that he made lightly. However you feel about that is up to you, but like, I just don't know if like sending just 3 students all at one time and like having that, like if he never made that decision before and then all of a sudden decide to send 3 students there and then never do it again, I just thought that was a little bit but like I still enjoyed it for what it was. So like we get to see like what happened, and apparently they were torn apart, eaten, burned, the whole thing. We get like the start of him like maybe not making the best call of judgment because he's out of his field. He doesn't, and that's the thing, like I feel like Alaric should have like some kind of like counsel to make like that big decision, because he's clearly struggling with that, like he doesn't know what to do, and like how is he gonna go from there? And then, of course, that's when we get the next scene of them in the prison world. Alaric, Josie, and Lizzie. We see some scenes of Sebastian, and I love how Alaric just straight up stabs him in the heart because he is not playing around. And he understands. I feel like this Alaric is different from what we've seen of him, like, throughout the series, but, like, I guess characters grow over time. But just seeing him just be, like, in charge and just, like, handle Sebastian was great. Since my feelings on Sebastian are kind of iffy as is, I thought that was hilarious. Yeah, we get some Josie and Alaric scenes and, like, more Alaric keeping secrets, which you should not do at this point. You're already there. Just, like, tell the truth at this point. Yeah, I just really enjoyed that whole Alaric Josie scene, and just I like any scenes of him doing the parenting thing or just like the mentoring thing in general. So that was pretty interesting. Then, of course, we get a scene with Lizzie and Sebastian, which later on, which I was uneasy about to begin with, because like this is where I like started not trusting him, because of the fact that, one, how would he, like, he's just making stuff up at this point in the episode. So like this is the start where like you're starting to get, okay, there's something off about Sebastian. I don't know if that was just me, but like in this whole like interaction with him and Lizzie, I was just like, you're something, or you're not being honest. And of course, that is when we get the next scene of the prison. Sorry, we're already in the prison world, but like the actual set of the prison in which Bonnie had originally trapped Kai in. I love seeing this. I love seeing any of like the old sets and stuff like that. So like that was really cool. The Kai singing karaoke was hilarious. Just this whole general like mocking of like whoever like comes to set him free and stuff. I thought that was great. I love how he like name drops Bonnie, he name drops Catherine, it was someone else that he does, Damon, Bonnie, Catherine, Alaric, clearly. So like he was fully intended, he was always gonna break out, let's face it. Kai Parker was not gonna stay locked up forever. It was great how like Alaric just shoots the screen because he's just done listening to Kai. I love him singing. This whole video is pretty much me fangirling over Kai Parker because he was my favorite in the Vampire Diaries and just my favorite villain in the top 3 next to like Klaus. So I just thought that whole little scene of him doing the karaoke was hilarious. And yeah, okay, so that's when we get the next scene with Josie. And okay, we get a flashback of younger Josie, which I really enjoyed. I like seeing like the younger, like I just like seeing like the flashback scenes, like the younger cast coming back to like do that. Honestly, I'd be fine with like a whole like Josie, Lizzie, like, like, grown-up witches thing, because I think them as kids was great. That was, like, it was a really cool part of, like, the Vampire Diaries, seeing them, like, as kids, and seeing them just, like, grow up into, like, the witches they are now. Kind of, let's get a prequel. But yeah, this is when we get the detention scene, which, again, this is one of the little nitpicky things I have with is that Alaric just took, like, 3 students who had an issue and threw them in prison world. One, I thought it would be, like, over a period of time, like, it's not a decision that he makes lightly, like, it has to be, like, this incident and this one, and then, like, another one. So I honestly thought there would be more kids in the prison world, like, kind of like a little army, but, like, I guess, again, like I said, that decision is not made lightly. So, again, seeing younger Josie interacting with those kids in detention was great. She just wanted to be one of the cool kids. I thought it was great that she had, like, a little crush, I'm guessing, on the vampire girl. And, like, we get to see where Lizzie gets her affiliation for fire. Sorry, Josie. We get to see Josie. I'm gonna get these mixed up, of course. We get to see Josie's affiliation for fire from that witch. I think that was awesome. How we got to see, like, how she first, like, got her, like, she got into it is from that one girl. And them kind of manipulating Josie, I kind of felt bad. Because she just wanted to fit in, she wanted to be one of the cool kids. And that scene was just like, oh, poor little Josie. And again, that's when we get the next scene of Kai Parker. Okay, so his first ever appearance on this episode was, of course, him singing karaoke. I love how that says his first one, and his second one is Come With Me If You Want to Live and saving Josie. Just, of course, his first scene would be him singing karaoke, and his second one would be Terminator. I love him. So I thought that was great, him saving her and just his whole interactions. And of course, that's when then we cut back to his little den hideout, where at this point, we're getting some backstory. He claims that they let him out, the 3 students that Alaric sent there, and that they are hunting him on a daily basis. That is what they like to do. Now, at this point in the episode, I was like, wow, okay, so they kind of nerfed Kai a little bit, and they made him kind of like beta. I'm going to use that. They made him like a beta, and how he was just like the one who was hunted down, when Kai Parker is like badass. Like, he is the villain of villains. And at this point in the episode, I was like, wow, they kind of, And, like, just that whole scene. But, like, I enjoyed his interaction with Josie and hearing kind of, like, his manipulating backstory. Seeing him get drunk is always funny. He had some great lines, him getting the names mixed up and not really caring. He is back to, like, the Kai Parker that we know and love, and he has not missed a beat. That's, again, with the whole episode in mind, I am completely fine with it. And at this point, I was kind of still but the episode as a whole, I was like, okay, he's back. But yeah, I enjoyed this scene for what it was. I enjoyed the little cat and mouse game that him and Josie are playing, because clearly they're both manipulating each other. Neither of them trusts the other one. The callback to Joe and how Alaric killed Josephine, or Joseph, whatever her name was. I'm gonna call her Joe for now. His sister, anyway. And he's just so nonchalant about it, like he didn't care. He's like, well, kind of meant to kill you guys, but, Mom got in the way. Like, that was like an interesting little callback to just that whole thing. And yeah, no, I loved it. I love his interaction with Josie. Now, I know I kind of did these out of order, but that is actually when we get the scene of Alaric listening to Kai singing karaoke. And then we get the arrow to the face, which I took a screenshot of because that was only one of the funnier scenes. He's like taunting him even without knowing anything. Like, Kai's been in there, he's essentially abandoned, but he still manages to guess that Alaric is coming back. Like, I just love how, like, he says in a future thing, y'all playing checkers while I'm playing chess. Such a Kai Parker thing, because he's always like 10 steps ahead of everything. So yeah, this whole scene. Okay, now one of my least favorite parts was, what is this guy's name? One of the 3 students, I think his name is, I want to say Diego, the little werewolf dude. I did not care at all for him. I'm sorry. The actor was fine, I'm sure. Honestly, he was fine. But, like, I just didn't really care much for him. Or the makeup. They could have done something different, but I guess having your bones... Okay, so I wasn't a fan of the character. However, I guess being trapped in prison world for 10 plus years, having your bones broken over and over again, would turn someone into, like, this twisted version of a werewolf, which I guess they played up. He's like this really weird, twisted thing. Not even a werewolf even, he's just like a thing. And having Kai rip his heart out and save Alaric was great. I love how even after Alaric straight up shoots him, and Kai, even as he's quote-unquote dying, he has a smirk on his face, and that was the best Kai thing ever. This is such a Kai thing. Dying and still, like, smiling at Alaric was great. Alaric clearly not trusting Kai. Of course he was never going to trust him. And this, though, I did not expect. I honestly did not expect Josie to be the one to put Alaric in the chains. At first, I thought that it was going to be one of the other students that he might have thrown in there. That was going to be like a whole thing. But then when it ends up being Josie, I kind of love that. Kind of like doing whatever she has to do to save them. Which really plays into later on in the episode when she does do whatever she has to do to save everyone. So good on you, Josie, for having to make that hard decision. But, damn. Okay, this one we get like another scene of Lizzie and Sebastian, which I did not... Okay, if you're a fan of these two, good for you. That's great. I really don't care. Awesome. In like the Vampire Diaries, the originals, people shipped everyone with everyone. They're cute, I guess. Cool. Like, I enjoyed their scenes together enough. I enjoyed the little conversation, and, like, as I'll talk about later on, I enjoyed the fact that someone finally brought up that they can turn them into vampires and it be a thing. Thank you, Lizzie. Okay, so we get the whole scene, then we flash back, and this is where we actually find out, because Guy Parker's down on the floor, this is where we actually find out that it was the one, that Josie was the one to actually knock her father out and put her in the thing, and put him in the chains, which, I'm sorry, they left Diego, werewolf boy, on the ground, with Alaric chained up. Josie is smarter than that. I get, like, this plays into, like, the Kai manipulation thing, because maybe she doesn't know all the information about that place. But just leaving him there like that was kind of dumb move. Yeah, it was a dumb move. Now, next scene, we get Kai and Josie walking into the clearing. And again, a lot of these things look like very familiar. I feel like they're trying to like, I don't know exactly what, but like trying to harken it back to like where Kai was. Like different sets and different scenes and stuff. I was like, oh, that looks like Mystic Falls, which clearly it's all Mystic Falls, but like this looks like recognizable area of like the old show. And of course, we get more of this cat and mouse game with Kai and Josie not trusting each other. Josie claiming, I love Josie like being manipulative right here, claiming that she has all the necessary things. Kai being a jerk and like assuming that like she has nothing. I thought he was gonna kill her for a second, but of course that wouldn't happen this early on. But I was like, okay, how far is he gonna go with this? But it ended up just being a whole big manipulation, them lying to each other, a whole back and forth. I enjoyed it. Again, more shout outs to Bonnie, which I enjoyed. Oh, we got the shout out to Teddy Bear. Again, I just love all these little like callbacks and stuff. This is my favorite. I like it. I like Kai talking about it, the teddy bear scene, or like the teddy bear that he once did, because he also did a similar trick, like Josie claimed to do on him. So yeah, just that whole scene and like the both of them going back and forth, the manipulation was great. Again, we get another scene, and this again we're going back to the Lizzie and Sebastian scenes. Good for what they are. I'm not really going to talk about this too much because, again, I just didn't really care too much. I enjoyed both characters, I really do, but just their whole relationship stuff, I don't really care too much. And up until the end, of course, that got interesting. But like the whole them dancing and singing, that was cool. Then again, if you like them, you're gonna love the scenes. If not, then it's me. Why? Because again, we get this scene with them in the hospital with Kai and Josie in the hospital, and they're like, of course, going back and forth. Like, did Josie not think that he was manipulating her? Like, could she have not like made something up or like not done anything to like kind of tell him about the Malvor pit or whatever else Kai was asking about? And then again, I like the whole playing, like the manipulation of them, and they're each asking questions. I just like their interactions together. I find it intriguing. I like the uncle-niece thing. I like their team up. Him finding Bennett blood was great. I like that. I like that since he's been in there since the Vampire Diaries, like, he's had ample amount of time to mess with things. Like, he's had time to do the research. Which kind of brings into question, like, did he not, like, look for any other mystical artifacts? I guess you could claim that, like, Bonnie or whoever, like, took that stuff out, excuse me, like, took that stuff from the prison world, but it just leaves, like, a lot to, like, he could have found a mystical item or done, like, something. Maybe he did. Maybe that's what we're gonna get in the next episode. And that is, of course, when we get the fact that the vampire, and I really should have remembered her name, but the vampire girl drinking all the Bennett blood, and Kai just straight up giving up, again, plays into manipulation. And, like, that whole scene just plays into the whole manipulation of Josie. And cutting back, we get back to Alaric with Wolf Boy, who, again, I didn't really care. I found the Fire Girl more interesting than I found the Wolf Boy. But yeah, leaving him alone. Dumb move. I love how they're like both one. They hate him, and so they're each just taking turns. Each one wants to do something different. One wants to burn him. One wants to hunt him. Wolf Boy wants to tear him apart. That was hilarious. Maybe not so hilarious, but I thought it was intriguing. And of course, we get the big reveal. We get Kai and Josie doing their final little thing. Josie was holding out on Kai. They were just going back and forth. And this is where we get the vampire girl escapes, has Kai up against the wall. And of course, Kai was the leader of the little trio the whole time. I actually made a video, never posted it, about what potentially could happen. I theorized that Kai Parker was running his own little twisted version of the school. So I was half right, because he technically is. Obviously, they're his followers, his acolytes, and that he actually enjoys being hunted, which of course he would, Kai Parker. And that they all hunt each other in some little weird thing, cool, whatever. I just thought it was cool that he just, like, double-crossed him, that he was, in fact. This is the part where I was like, okay, Kai Parker is back. He was back the whole time, yes, but, like, this is where I was like, okay, he was not, like, the, kind of nerfed character that they made him out to be. He's still badass Kai Parker, villain extreme, awesome. And so yeah, that just whole scene of the big reveal that, like, he was not only with that student, but he was also, like, the leader of the whole little gang. I loved it. And of course, we get back to the Sebastian and Lizzie scenes. And again, just more me. This was the interesting part. I think this is where he actually suggested that, I know he wanted to stay, like he had brought that up before, if Sebastian wanted to stay in the world. But I think this is where he brings it up to Lizzie and turning her. And at the end of the episode, I really feel for Lizzie. I just have this whole thing. I don't really know how I feel about Sebastian up to this. I'm definitely not on board with anything that he does at this point. But, like, if Damon can get, you know, redemption, if all these characters can get redemption, eventually maybe Sebastian can too, because we've had villains do a lot worse. And of course, cut back to the dear old Alaric scenes, and Vampire Girl has officially captured Josie and decides to tell her version of the story. This part gets me for a few reasons. Mostly because I don't really agree with what Alaric did. I mean, he brings up, like, this is where we get him saying, like, he had no other choice. We even see the Ascendant and, like, him, I guess, struggling with that decision. I would have liked more of him struggling with that, or, like, a few more scenes of, like, what went through Alaric's scene to justify this. Like, I would have liked to see him, like, talking to anyone else about like his decision. Like, shouldn't like someone, Bonnie, Damon, I guess who's human now and whatever, but like, shouldn't someone have like maybe given him an alternate option? I mean, lock them up there's prison cells downstairs. Like, it's not that hard to like lock up these students. But yeah, we get him like trying to decide. We get him saying they had no other choice. We get them kind of like, you know, I don't know how I feel, because like, while I do feel like they were victims-ish, they still did a lot of bad things. So yeah, we get Vampire Girl telling Alaric her side of the story, and how they were all lured there, and just essentially it was a big old freak show that they had the Mystic Falls. Like, when did the Mystic Falls kids become such jerks? Like, this is one of the problems with the Salvatore School, is that in the original show, they had no idea. Like, they were just integrated fine. Like, maybe the school could have been like a side thing to help kids. But just like separating them like that apparently has caused a lot of issues. And again, we get like this scene where like they were ready to go. Like, they were ready to just walk away. But then Jerk from Mystic Falls says throw a football and Diego loses control. And then we get that whole scene unfolding. We get Fire Girl accidentally setting someone on fire. Diego, that was on purpose. Diego's thing was on purpose. Fire Girl was an accident, I guess. Vampire Girl talks about how she could have easily stopped it, but froze, which I felt bad. But there's one thing that I did enjoy from this scene, besides the whole scene in general, because I feel like it did harken back to the Vampire Diaries-ish. And like this episode was very like, it had a lot of scenes that remind me of the Vampire Diaries. I found it intriguing. But yeah, we get her flipping her humanity switch after eating the girl that she had a crush on. And then her explaining that she was literally screaming out for help and he just didn't see it. And I feel so bad because Alaric handled this so poorly. You'd think that like he would have done research. He would have figured something out, done some kind of spell thing. But yeah, we get that big reveal that like the reason why she was so nonchalant about it when talking to him was because she flipped her switch. Which is something that we don't really talk about too much in this show, so I'm glad that was like that we finally talked about it and like addressed that again. And yeah, we get like her showing actual remorse because she actually did feel bad. And just that whole scene, she felt things. She was sad. She was struggling and crying out for help. And so I kind of felt sympathetic. Then, of course, she talks about how she's been how they all spent a period of time killing each other for 10 plus years, so, like, she's clearly gone at this point. Again, we jump back to Lizzie and Sebastian, and this is where I officially turned on Sebastian, not turned on him. He's still a cool character, but damn, in the decision-making of Lizzie and him asking her, she goes over all the reasons. This is like a very Rebecca thing. She talks about the children and how she doesn't know if she wants to do it because she doesn't even know if she wants these things. About growing old, having children, stuff like that. And we find out that Sebastian slipped the blood into her drink. No. This scene just cannot be justified, I'm sorry. Again, we've had villains do worse things and be redeemed, so maybe further down the line we'll get that. But him doing that was just a bad move and just cannot be justified at all. And of course we cut back to, because of course Vampire Girl wanted to hunt Alaric. And so we get that scene of her like throwing in the woods, and he's like, he's not going to do it, but he does, because he has no choice. And cutting back, this one's going to go back and forth a little bit. Sebastian and Lizzie, of course, he calls her the wrong name because he wants to protect her. So again, feel bad for Sebastian, I do, but still did a bad thing. And then calling her by the wrong name, and just shows how, like, broken he is. And again, I can appreciate a broken character more than anyone, but, like, it's still not a good excuse for, like, literally forcing that decision on someone. Not cool. I think potentially there might be like a doppelganger situation going on, possibly, or like Legacies' version of a doppelganger thing going on. I do not know though. They could go that route. I think it could be cool. And of course she leans in for a kiss and drains his power. Good on you, Lizzie. And we get one of my favorite scenes next, which is them, the fire witch and werewolf boy, going, because they found a way out at this point. And so they go back to Kai's hideout, and we get the famous line, "Kai Parker screwed us." And that was great. Of course he manipulated them and found his own way out, and was not going to bring them along. And then we get the fact that Josie tricked him, and it wasn't actually Bennett blood, but it was in fact just alcohol. So, and then we get one of my next favorite lines, which is, "Josie Salzman screwed me." And Kai got to say it. That was great. I thought that was hilarious. Cool. We get Lizzie driving the little sheriff's car back to Mystic Falls to try to handle things. And now we get, this ending was my favorite. We get Kai on the phone talking to Josie, and she has an impossible decision to make. She has to break the sand clock in order to get out, because Kai's found another way out, in which he's just going to jump into the Malvor pit and have everyone forget him. I thought this was great. I really love this. This whole ending scene was perfect. It was Vampire Diaries-esque. It was such a Kai Parker thing to do. He doesn't care at this point. He's ready to go into that darkness and just be forgotten about. I don't think he actually knows, because he doesn't know that he's going to come out on the other side. So, in this point, he's just going to a dimension. He's going to figure it out later. But, this whole going back and forth between Kai doing his thing, Josie doing her thing was great. And, of course, we get that scene in between where Vampire Girl just was like, whatever, I like girls better, and screw Kai Parker. Good for you. I don't know about you guys, but I actually enjoy this character. It's, again, very Vampire Diaries-esque. Them trying to locate Alaric and finding out he's in the armory. I liked his whole battling up scene, which, dude, take more than a sword. I'm sorry, you're fighting a werewolf, a vampire, and a witch who've had 10 plus years of training. Bring more than a sword. And again, this is where we cut back to more of my favorite scene of them going back and forth. We get him saying that that Josie's gonna have to become a monster like him. And just the contrast between him jumping into the pit in that split seconds and saying that she has a limited amount of time because he's about to screw everyone by jumping in. And Josie actually breaks it. Kai gets forgotten. The whole thing, Lizzie gets... Did she die? I don't think she died, but injured pretty bad and potentially dying. So all in one scene, we get Kai being a badass and being forgotten, taking a swan dive into the Malvor pit. We get Dark Josie, and then we get Lizzie possibly becoming a heretic. All in one. And with the music choice, the whole scene was just beautiful, beautiful. I cannot express how much I love this scene enough. Just perfect. And, of course, Kai Parker does not stay dead. Of course he came back. Necromancer, whatever, but Kai Parker's back, and he's about to mess some stuff up. And I can get behind this team up. I'm not even a big fan of Necromancer, but I can get behind this team up because it's awesome. Kai Parker's back, it's beautiful, it's perfect, and I can't wait to see the next episode. I expected them not to do this. I thought he was going to be a one-off and done. But no, this is a two-part thing, and I cannot wait. Let me know what you guys think. Comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode. Like, subscribe, comment. I talked about maybe doing this in 2 parts. I'm pretty sure I'm just going to do it all in one. But, yeah. What do you guys think? Are you excited for Kai Parker being the potential villain for the rest of the season? Did you enjoy the episode? Did you not like it? What did you think about Sebastian's whole thing? What did you think about just the show in general? Let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. And I'll talk to you guys later.